me ask you something right now and be honest. Is your line of credit balance sitting at zero or does it have a balance and has that balance been sitting there for quite a bit of time? If you just felt a little pit in your stomach when you heard that, then keep watching because I'm about to explain something that a lot of business owners don't really learn until it's too late and they're already kind of in trouble. Your line of credit is not an emergency fund. It is not a cash flow supplement. And if you've been using it like one, and what I mean by supplement is like, well, I didn't pay myself quite what I wanted to these past few months, and I really want this and that, and I want new office furniture. Da 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 da. That's not what your line of credit is for. Okay. Today, we're going to talk about what a line of credit is for and when to use it, when not to use it. So, hey, everybody, welcome back to Cash Flow Confidence. I'm Shelby Ashley, and I help business owners feel more confident about their cash flow. So let's start with what a line of credit is designed to do because a lot of people were never taught this. A lot of business owners get a line of credit when either they have needed one for months and months and months and they're finally getting one and it's at the worst rate you can imagine, or they get it right at the inception of their business and they go and spend it on all these frivolous things that don't matter whatsoever when it comes to the success of their business, like, a bunch of swanky office furniture or outfits or whatever. You have a business line of credit for a short term revolving tool to cover working capital gaps. That's what it's used for. That's it. What I mean by working capital gaps is yes, your business is performing, you have revenue, you have profit, but the rate at which you are seeing that profit is kind of, it's hit or miss. Like maybe you have a seasonal business where you don't really collect in the wintertime because maybe you do construction kind of work and it's just kind of slow in the wintertime. And so you need a lot of credit there so that you can make sure that you're still making payroll and meeting your obligations so that in the summertime, when work picks back up, you can then pay it off. Or maybe you've got one or two, kind of risky clients that don't really pay when they should and you have the line of credit there so that if a client misses a payment, you can still make payroll and meet your obligations, and then when that client does pay, you can then pay the line of credit off that you had to use. Side note, don't keep clients that, you have to chase down for money. You are not a bank. If you have clients that are consistently a problem, you need to work on replacing those clients or shortening up your terms. And so, here's why this matters. It's because a line of credit that you draw off of and pay regularly is a healthy financial tool. A line of credit that carries a growing and permanent balance is like putting shackles on your business because the interest is going to keep on growing, and you're never going to be able to get out from under it. Do not treat your line of credit as just something that you can constantly tap into month after month. The dangerous thing about things like this is when they're kind of small, they don't really feel like emergencies. It can kind of be like, oh, well, I'll just get to it, next month when business picks up a little bit more. Or, it's okay for it to sit there because I don't have a whole lot of debt on my books. So I'm okay with it growing. And before you know it, you've got this behemoth on your balance sheet and you're constantly paying interest on it. Don't do that. So I want to talk you through three warning signs that your line of credit has crossed from strategic into problematic. So sign one is that your balance on your line of credit almost never goes to zero. So maybe you use it, you do pay it back off when you need to use it, but you never are able to pay it off down to zero. And so if your line of credit has been carrying a balance for 3 months, 6 months, or even worse, like 12 months, it's no longer a timing gap. It's now supplementing your business. And you either need to bring in more revenue to pay it off, or you need to cut some expenses, figure it out, and work out a debt repayment plan into that line of credit. I do this all the time with business owners that come to me because they've got debt like this on their books and they just struggle to pay it off. One of the first things that we do is work in a debt repayment plan to get these things paid off, and then before you know it, it's gone and you can breathe again. Warning sign number 2 is that you use the line of credit before you have even looked at your cash position at all. So some business owners draw on it out of, like reflex. So let's say a big expense is coming up or a big tax payment or whatever, and your first move or your first reaction is to just draw on that line of credit. It's not even to look at what's in your operating account or see if you actually have the cash to cover this. So when the line of credit becomes your default instead of just your backup, that's a sign that you have very low cash visibility. And that's a sign that you need to get a handle on where your finances are and what your cash position is. You should always know what your cash position is going to look like week after week. If you don't, that's what I'm here for. Warning sign number 3 is that your your line of credit is maxed out or very close to it. So this is one I want people to kind of sit with because raising your limit on your line of credit might feel like a solution. But before you do that, if the balance is high because your business just is not generating enough cash, don't go out and raise your limit on your line of credit. Go out and get more business or cut some expenses that you don't need. Bring in more operating cash flow into the business before going out and raising that limit. That's not if your business is not healthy enough that it's bringing in consistent profitable cash flow, meaning your bank balance is consistently growing, raising your line of credit is not going to help that or fix it. It's going to make it worse. So I've seen this play out where the ones who catch line of credit balances early and say, "Why is this balance not going down at all?" They come out in a far better position than ones who just keep raising the limit and hoping that their revenue is going to catch up. So, how do you know if your line of credit is a strategy or if it's a red flag? There's one number I want you to pull, and that's your operating cash flow, which I talked about a second ago. Your operating cash flow is your revenue minus your expenses, so that's your profit. But then after your profit, it's your debt payments that you need to make for the month, it's your owner draws that you plan on taking for the month, it's any equipment or any, asset purchases that you plan on making or selling for that month. After all those things that are below the profit and loss line come through, you look at the number that's left, that is your operating cash flow. And so something that really eats into this, probably the most that I've seen, is when you have a bunch of outstanding invoices that haven't been paid. Yeah, the profit is there, but the cash flow is not. So that's one place to look. I've done a few episodes on why your cash balance doesn't match your profit. The biggest one that I see is uncollected invoices. So if you have clients that have, you're invoicing and they're just not paying, that's going to eat directly into your operating cash flow. And if you're a business that carries inventory, that's a big one that can get ahead of you because that is money just sitting on the shelf. So if your inventory balance is going up and up and up each month, that's eating into your operating cash flow. So you need to know that number. And so if that number is positive and healthy, then using your line of credit is a tactical move and it's fine because you have the operating cash flow to then pay it off. But if that number is very thin or negative and you're carrying a line of credit balance, then your business is not generating enough cash flow to support itself. And then the line of credit is just kind of masking a problem because you might be borrowing from it and saying, well, cash is there. Well, it's coming from debt. So that's not good. So, cash from operations tells you everything you need to know about whether or not it's time to use a line of credit. So, if you recognize that your business is in the state that I just described, what you need to do is not panic. It's very fixable. Do the things that I just described in this episode, and then run the operating cash flow check that I described because you need to know, is my business generating enough cash flow on its own so that if I do need to pull from a line of credit, I can then pay it right back off. And third, if the answer is no, then the conversation you need to have is about your margins and your collections. If your margins are thin, you need to raise prices, bring in more sales, or cut expenses. If your margins are great, but your cash is not, you need to tighten your collection terms, get some inventory off the shelf, do those things that I just mentioned. And if you're not sure where to start, that's exactly what I hope you see is, okay, boom, here's what's eating into your operating cash flow. Here's how we fix it. And so your one action item for this week is look at your line of credit balance right now if you have one, and then ask yourself, when's the last time that balance was zero? Look through your statements and see when's the last time I was actually able to pay this thing off. And then if it's been a while or you can't remember, then, you know, that's where you need to start building in a plan of, okay, I'm gonna allocate X amount each month towards the debt on this thing. All right, see you guys next week.